You are listening to Aim Higher, a Catholic podcast designed to instruct and to encourage the daily practice of our faith. Pax et bonum, peace and good to you all. This is Aim Higher podcast. I'm Father Anthony. Here's Sister Catherine, and a blessed Lenten season to you all, right in the beginning of the Lenten season. And how's it going so far for you, sister?
Fantastic, honestly. I ever since I went to the chiropractor last week, I've been feeling pretty great. So, and don't come at me if any of our listeners are chiropractic haters. It's interesting how there are people that really despise the chiropractic practice. Now, I will say not
Mm.
all chiropractors are equal.
That is
So
true. That is true.
we have a good one here that he's been practicing for over 40 years, and he actually used to adjust Bishop Lewis back in the day.
Mhm.
So, anyway, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy the season of Lent. Um,
Well.
I look forward to it, and I'm very grateful to have that mindset because I know there are people out there that are like, "Oh, it's Lent." And, for those in the modernist church, boy, oh boy, they can't have meat on Friday. They have to fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. So it's
Mhm.
really, really hard. Um, and I think, how blessed we are that that is, you know, not the church law. So, and for me personally, I'm just grateful the church does lay out specific guidelines, like, as far as fasting and abstaining. I don't have to think about that aspect. That's just what I do.
Mhm.
And then just trying to cultivate some different areas of discipline. Presently testing out a Lenten journal. Bridget and I are
Mhm.
testing it out, seeing how it goes. So far, so good. And that, if we find that that's something that was beneficial, we will have those available for next year. What's beautiful about it, and she said it wasn't even her intention when we were working on it, and she did most of the legwork, so I'm not even gonna try to take credit. Um, it's not year specific, so we could, print several copies and
Mhm.
people can grab it at their leisure. So,
Mhm.
um, anyway, Lent is how was your Lent?
Starting off strong, I like to think, and
It's gonna
it's,
go fast.
a lot of it beginning with, Ash Wednesday and had 2 services, and that's always positive, trying to get things done on Thursday. I had, communion calls yesterday and just giving ashes, and be doing that again tomorrow, and and I was encouraged by the response of people coming and, questioning, like, "Well, do I do a afternoon mass? Do I need to do one?" And plenty of people came, so that's very encouraging,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
yeah, it's spiritually, and I always like the fasting period, and you're like, "You don't need to just fast during Lent, come on."
No, well, the thing is, we've been doing intermittent fasting since near the end of 2023, which was something I kind of resisted the idea of for a while because it's like, well, no, a lot of things I've been reading about, that's not a good
Yeah.
idea. But at the same time, having 3 meals a day was kind of stressing me out. Um, so we essentially eat 2 meals a day, and
Mhm,
it's going good. So um,
mhm.
but this Lent is going to go super fast. It just
It is.
with
It is.
things that are
I'm
coming up
already
in the
feeling
next
it.
month.
Well,
Well,
it
oh,
oh, I was
go ahead.
just gonna say, it just feels different because last year, right at the beginning of Lent, right after I did the Ember Day retreat, we were painting the church,
Oh, true.
and we went about 2 or 3 weeks, we didn't have Stations of the Cross. So it was so weird, but I I know when we painted it 20 some years ago, and I've talked about this last year, um, ba they would take everything would be taken down, and every week, you paint a little bit, take everything down, put the stations back up, and how Father Bernard wanted it, and I understand that you wanna keep the ambiance of the church in place. I remember we talked about it, and I said, "No, I want people to see, that there's the work as being it's involved in this."
Mhm.
Uh, I'm looking forward to getting that website up. Now it's all on me of getting the information to the people, um, to have those pictures shown of the
Mhm.
church having the altar set up, and it's, uh, with all the scaffolding behind it. So it just kinda makes me think, and we're still doing a few little minor things here and there, but, I'm looking forward to Easter, getting there. I
Yes.
just ordered my Easter lilies this morning.
Oh, I thanks for the reminder. I think the place that I ordered from, they don't open till March, so I have a little time, and I probably literally could walk in there Holy Thursday and get them, but
Huh.
I don't wanna do that. But I also think I might get some, da like you did, you got some daffodils. I wanna kinda
Yeah,
I'm gonna spring it up a little bit,
yeah, I
'cause
I
it
did that
was
last
tough.
year. Yeah,
It was tough walking in the grocery store and not buying any flowers, so that's part of the vibe. I'll be
part of your
patient.
your Lenten penance there.
It is, every every little thing can be offered up. Yesterday, I ran a few errands, I had to go to the bank, and it was raining, 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 and I wore the wrong outdoor shoes. The ones I usually wear, when they get soaked, they turn my toes kinda black, and they just yeah, it's not very
Yeah, that's happened to
it
me
doesn't
too.
doesn't look great, and then the bottom of my habit's wet, and I found that me and wet feet make me grumpy, so irritable, and we had
Yeah,
Stations of the Cross not long after I got back, and I kept kneeling on my wet hem, and I was like, "Boy,
mhm.
this is really getting on my nerves," and I thought, "Okay, put it in perspective, sister. You're at the Stations of the Cross. You're meditating about how our Lord who truly suffered,
Yeah.
and you're complaining about your wet feet and your wet hem.
See,
Get it together."
look at it from this point of view. It could be like, a foot higher than just the hem, it could be even wetter. A
Yeah,
and you talk about
maybe.
wet feet. Yeah, counter to the same thing. I mean, it wasn't Lent yet, but, last week I went up north, or actually technically earlier this week, I went up north, and, to help, our good old friend Jean, uh, sugaring for the maple. Now, she asked, said, "Father, bring your work clothes." Just to help her out. I've helped her out before, and I'm very happy to do it, get out the fresh air. And, I had in my head, 'cause she said sugaring, oh, I guess they collected their sap already, which if I thought about it a little further, I would've been like, "I don't think there's enough time." I mean, I don't think it's g we've had some really warm days, but I don't know. I don't So, when I got up there, I brought my work boots, and there's still a bunch of snow. And I found out, no, we're tapping. We're tapping the trees, drilling and tapping. I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So, my feet got wet very quick. Although I gotta say, they held out pretty well where my socks did not get too soaked. So, but a friend of theirs let me use his old hunting boots. So that worked out. We went back out and did it.
So that sounds fun. It sounds fun. Good
I
activity.
enjoyed it. I enjoy doing that work. So I never did it before. So,
It's always good to learn something new.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Well, speaking of something new,
okay.
I did wanna share a very new experience I've had. This has never happened to me in the almost 10 years that I have been wearing the habit, and I kinda think if I would've gone in on Ash Wednesday, it would've been maybe funnier, and it's funny and yet not funny at the same time. I went into the post office to drop off the syrup, and I'm carrying the 2 trays, and I go and put them on the counter, and it's fairly empty in there, and I see the 2 clerks standing at the desk, at the counter waiting, and all of a sudden, I see this one clerk, who I didn't recognize, start running to the back room. Okay, didn't really think anything of it, and the gentleman that is often there starts, processing my order, and, he says to me, he's like, "You know why she ran away?" Like, and I think she came back up, I'm not sure at this point, 'cause honestly, I wasn't paying that deep attention, but do tell. She is scared of you. You scared her when you walked in the door. He said, "Do you know that movie that came out, this horror movie about some nun?" Says, "You know what I'm talking about?" I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about at all." He's like, "Yeah, well, apparently you remind you reminded her of that movie and scared her, and she runs to the back room." And I thought, "Okay," very professional, if you will. So, um,
Oh,
and it
that's
made me think, like,
fantastic.
what would be comparable if I was working some sort of customer service position? What would be comparable to scare me enough to run away to the back room, which any job I had, that would not have flown. Maybe a scary clown, but that'd be about it. But, I still have to wait on the scary clown. When I related the story to one of my friends, she said, "Well, did you report her?" I said, No. I mean, honestly, she didn't refuse me service. Um, the clerk did ask her as I was leaving, he said, "It's like, when do you wanna say goodbye to her?" She's like she wouldn't even look at me. She's shaking her head, "No, no." Um, I've never seen her before. She's probably a temp. She's probably praying she's a temp. She won't have to deal with me.
Did she how old does she look?
Young, young. I'm probably twice her age. Um,
Uh,
see
see, I know the movie.
okay.
Um, I've mentioned before on here, I have seen the Conjuring films, and that's where it comes from this the Conjuring
But
universe.
I think there's a new movie out.
Well, there's some I think
Okay.
there might be a continuation, but she's talking about the nun, and this was it was I saw that film, and
Okay.
it's some freaky stuff.
I thought he said it was a new movie about
It
it
might have
had a
been
nun in it.
well, what do we might new? You
Like,
know,
it just recently came out.
there might have been something,
Yeah.
but,
I mean, I'm not keeping up with current situations, but,
you know,
I mean, even if I felt compelled to maybe report it, like, first of all, she would know it was me. I don't, really want that to follow me. It's like, I would say if I went back and she wouldn't wait on me, then that's a problem. Because 'Cause I'm just like, "Okay," it just showed her age, of course, I mean, I've gotten side-eyed by older people, but most of the time, my encounters have been pleasant. I don't always notice people anyway, but then on the flip side, I went to Trader Joe's to do some grocery shopping, and I'm at the checkout, and one of the cashiers, I think she was bringing a car, she sees me, she runs up to the counter, she said, "Where have you been? I haven't seen you in a while." And I explained, "Well, I'm very weather motivated when it comes to going out and doing errands." So, it's been very wintry here, so I was not gonna drive the 20 minutes to Trader Joe's. Um, and she was so happy to see me, and, she's moving away, and that's why she was really glad to see me. I said, "Well, wow, this is really refreshing, compared to my last stop." And I explained what happened in the post office, and they were just dumbfounded by this woman's reaction. And one lady said, "That movie isn't even scary," but they
it
all
might be a
just
different movie.
yeah.
If it's what I've seen, it can be pretty freaky.
From the sound of what my, the clerk I see more often, it sounded like this is something that just came out. So and I'm not
It
gonna
might
know
be,
that.
I
I'm not gonna look because
for me
I don't recommend people I mean, be very specific if you wanna research things about religious sisters and nuns, try to be very specific. Even with a very specific search, there's gonna be some pretty scandalous things that pop up
yeah,
on the
there
images.
are a lot. There's a
So,
lot out there, and
and that's very
this
frustrating, but
this this is the the movie that I'm thinking of, it's a demon that impersonates a nun. It's,
Yeah, I
meant to
just
be, um, a
I just that
sacrilegious it's meant to be, defaming the idea of the nun, and, I know for me, I would be really tempted. It's like, "Do you wanna say go?" It's like, "Okay, well, goodbye." Doing some kinda deep, gravelly voice, "See you later in
I
your
have the
dreams." I don't know. I what this shows is uh this is not even the desensitizing, but just the fantasy in in cinema and how people, they take these things so seriously.
well, I also for me on a different side of that, I show it showed me how maybe some of our young people being brought up in this world are just not really exposed to discomfort or
Mhm.
something that they've if you're gonna work in a customer service, you're gonna encounter all sorts of people, and it's not everybody's gonna be pleasant. I
Yeah.
mean,
I I wanna I mean, so sorry, did you report that? Why would I? I'm
I'm
like,
not gonna take the time. Um,
you know
if it's some I think if something happens again where she flat out refuses to wait on me, and if I see her again and there's a line, I might and she's next up, maybe I'll let the person behind me go ahead knowing that this bothers her. I might do that, but I wouldn't have to. Um, but it's just like you're in for a long road of
Yeah.
discomfort, so you might as well just
Yeah, and
I mean
that's a big thing, yeah.
I mean, and granted, and some may disagree with me that, okay, this was her own prejudice, and at least she wasn't prejudiced against people of different, um, ethnicities, but some people say, "Well, this was no different," but I don't feel persecuted. It just was like, "Okay, this is really weird,
It
and you look really
very
immature."
strange. Yes, and that's the thing. It's like you gotta, grow up. It's not real. And it just was a movie, and,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, even the
that's
clerk there, he's like, "She's cool, she's fine." Just it's okay. I mean, it did shatter the little self-confidence I have. So,
alrighty.
um,
Well,
so
that was a great story. I'm glad
I
you actually saved it for the
mhm.
podcast.
I thought
That was something. That's
I thought that'd be enjoyable.
'Cause for
And
me,
it's
the worst I get is, "Hey, Friar Tuck." Still get Friar I get Friar Tuck at least 5 times a year, and that's the very least.
yeah,
"Friar Tuck." It's like, "Yeah, peasant."
that's original.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
so
good times, good
Oh,
times.
okay, alright. Well, shall we get to our actual topic, subject matter for today's podcast?
Yes, and I'll just say I'll put a timestamp on our podcast so that people don't
Mhm.
wanna listen to
Like,
our
I'm still on the podcast, and it stops with
mm,
this conversation.
yep.
Okay.
The pre-show chatter has ended at 19
Yeah,
minutes.
and go. Okay. We're continuing with The Holy Sacrifice of the Mass by LMA Horan. I have it from the Kingdom of God series, and we're looking at lesson 4. And again, we like this book because it explains it very simply, and but also it does not insult our intelligence, and no book really does. But it is for, children in the elementary grades, and I don't know, it explains it very well, and, we'll expand on it, we'll talk more, but with lesson 4, but I suppose just a quick recap, the last 3 lessons, I mean, they were on the meaning of sacrifice, the sacrifice of the cross, and the sacrifice of the Mass being the one same sacrifice, and the four purposes for which Mass is offered. That's the four ends of prayer: adoration, thanksgiving, reparation, and petition. Now it's important to talk about the externals. So, the externals are those things that one can see. The externals of the Mass are the objects used during Holy Mass that you can see. The Church has exact regulations for all the externals of the Mass. And this is true. Where there might be some differences in design, but even those designs have to follow a certain guideline. The altar. The altar is the most important object in a Catholic Church. On the altar, the holy sacrifice of the Mass is offered. In the tabernacle of the altar, the Blessed Sacrament is kept. Now, of course, you can have altars. And this is not me talking. You can have altars who do not have a tabernacle. But in the main church, well, I say the main church, the main altar in the church, usually there is a tabernacle. If possible, the top of every altar should be a stone slab. There should be 5 crosses engraved on this slab. The crosses represent the 5 wounds of our Lord. There is 1 cross in the center and 1 at each of the 4 corners. Sometimes the top of the altar is not a stone slab. Then the altar stone is used. This altar stone may be as small as a large piece of tile. 5 crosses are cut into the top of the altar stone. The crosses are just the same size as a large altar stone, as on a large altar stone. So the size does not change even if it's on the slab, uh, the stone slab used, which is the ideal, which is what you would want. Um, but there are many reasons why you might not be able to have that. For us, one of the reasons is the fact that we have a basement and a stone altar, even the stone
Never
slab,
thought about that.
the weight would be quite a bit. I mean, you might be able to get away with a full stone slab, perhaps, but we also have an altar that's already made and designed, and
And especially as Franciscans, we use what we have.
we use what we have, and the cost to get that would be, quite a bit. So,
Mhm.
unless, unless I had a benefactor come and say, "Father, I wanna give you a donation of such and such amount, for you to get a stone altar or stone slab and a whole new altar." Okay, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And we have our altar, we've had it since we had the church in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
so we use the stone slab. Of course, this makes me the stone, sorry, the altar stone, and, it makes me think about when we had the dedication, the
Sacristans.
consecration
Mhm.
of the church, the Cristo Rey,
Mhm.
and that whole ceremony, you can find it on, Bishop Madrigal's YouTube channel, Deus Vult, D-U Deusvult, and, yeah, you're gonna find that, put a link on that,
Probably, yep,
I
I
bet?
will.
Yeah, why not? Uh, I was the deacon, and, yeah, I'm right there in the shot with, with His Excellency, and my biggest contribution was keeping his sleeves from getting full of cement. That was my big contribution,
Thank you for
and,
your service.
yeah, thank you thank you for your service, father. The bishop did say thank you, so that was
I
nice.
mean, standing there, making sure and still keeping composure, and it's not easy.
And I told it before, my dogs were barking right there, and I don't know why it just started. I don't know why it happened, but anyway, it's a wonderful ceremony. It's so very interesting. I don't wanna get too far off because, I do have to say mass in a little bit. Okay, in the altar stone, or the top of the altar stone, there is a small box. The box is made of lead. It contains relics of at least 2 saints who were martyrs. The altar is always covered with 3 white cloths of linen. The first 2 cloths need cover only the top of the altar. Over these cloths is a much longer one is placed. This cloth reaches to the floor on both sides. It is the real altar cloth, and that is the ideal. Um, Sometimes it's hard to get the right measurements for your altar, and it's expensive. Altar linens are expensive. I've looked into it, and I think to get a new one just for our altar, um, your linen,
Yeah.
$800,000. It's not cheap, but it's also not something that people get all the time, so it's not
True.
mass produced. Um,
Um,
yeah.
and it's interesting, and with proper care, it should last, but
Oh, yeah.
it's it's one of those interesting things to think about how, we could kind of be thrown off by the cost of things and justify not
Mhm.
replacing, but then we think about, well, what's
Yeah.
taking place, and so we should do that. So, I mean, if
Mhm.
someone came to like, "Father, I would like to help," you know, um, but I mean, people can, I guess, make specific requests of what they wanna help you with,
Yeah, they can.
but if they were to ask you, you'd probably say, "I would, help offset the cost of this." I mean, you would prefer a new altar linen than a new altar, obviously, because we have a perfectly functional one,
Yeah.
but it's just,
Yes. Yes.
uh
It's like, and it's kind of a practical lesson here that a person may have a very special request, like, "I would like this done with, this donation," and the priest may say, "Okay, we can do that, um, but we could use that here.
Mhm,
Um, do you mind if we do that, or are you dead set on this?" And a person, may say, "Oh, whatever, Father," or, "No, I would really like this, Father," and say,
mhm,
"Okay." Um, Perhaps the priest will say, "Well, I'm not then no thank you. No thank you for
mhm,
the" because it might not be practical,
mhm,
to do, and also, if a person, uh, did not donate enough, and you're like, "Well, if you want me to do this, it's gonna be probably another, whatever the amount would be."
mhm,
So I think it's always a nice thing, um, just have that, flexibility with what you like to see, um,
mhm,
or how you like to donate it. But I would like to think, at least for myself, that I'm trustworthy, where I can,
mhm,
um, you know, use it for the altar. I mean, use it for the mass, use it for in the sanctuary. That can apply to so many things. So, and if someone gave me $1,000, like, "Do it for the glorification of the altar," I'd be like, "Well, then I'm gonna get a new altar cloth." So, but, just, come here's some kind of practical lessons of the pastoral kind.
mhm,
Anyway, only 3 things are necessary on the altar. These 3 things are a crucifix and 2 candles. The candles must be made of beeswax. They are placed on each side of the crucifix. The priest reads from a large book during the Holy Mass. This Mass book is called the Missal. It is on the right side of the altar when Mass begins. The Missal is placed on a book rest. Water and wine for Mass are put in two cruets. The cruets are little pitchers, pitchers, not pitchers, pitchers, like pitchers for water, yeah,
It's funny you brought that up.
lemonade.
Did you have that argument with Bishop Lewis too?
I'm not sure how I could say it. Pitchers,
Picture and pitcher.
pitcher. Okay,
A
pitcher.
pair Bishop Giles recently shared a story that Bishop Lewis called him out on his pronunciation of pitcher. And I guess he sounded more like picture. So, and you have to really think about it. What word do you
You
put
have
the
a,
emphasis?
have a, hey, can I get a picture of water? Yeah, pitcher.
Now that we have cell phones, you just shoot him a picture.
Uh,
Um,
a picture of a pitcher.
but, it's funny when we kinda get sloppy in our pronunciations, and anyone who spends at least a little time with His Excellency, be careful how you use the word "for." Like, if you say, "I wanna pray for someone," make sure you say "for." If you say "for" and he hears you, because a lot of people say "for" when they mean "for." You notice
Pray
that?
for someone.
"I'm
Uh,
gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray for you." It's
I don't need any furs. Thank you.
so, now
Fur
that he brought that to my attention, I can't not.
uh, yep, yep, I
The
know.
joys, the joys.
So it is, pitchers. They are used with a small dish. The cruets and dish are placed on a table near the altar. Call this the credence table. Sometimes they are placed on a shelf. When used, the little shelf is on the wall near the altar. On the side of At the side of the cruets, there is a small white finger towel. This is used by the priest to dry his fingers. And I have the little shelf feature down in my, chapel in Rock Falls. The vestments. The priest is told just what he should do in dressing for Holy Mass. He has a special prayer to say as he puts on each vestment. The word vestment means a garment that is different from everyday clothes. Some vestments are plain, others are very rich, but always vestments are dignified. They are made like clothes people wore hundreds of years ago. The priest puts the vestments on over his black cassock, or for my case, my brown habit. The cassock is a long black garment he wears. Mine is a brown long garment that I wear with a hood and a cowl. Vestments are of two kinds, outer vestments and linen vestments. The outer vestments. The chasuble is a large outer vestment. Long ago, it was much longer. The chasuble and the other outer vestments are always the same color. The stole is a long, narrow vestment. The priest wears it around his neck and crossed around his neck and crossed on his breast. So you puts it across him. The stole worn during Holy Mass is made of the same material as the chasuble. And if I may just add in here, when a bishop says Mass, he does not cross the stole over his chest. It just goes straight down.
The more you know.
Yeah, yeah, the more you know. The maniple is worn on the priest's left arm, is also made the same material as the chasuble. The church tells the priest when he is to use different colors. Violet is used during Advent and Lent. White is used during the Christmas and Easter time. White is also used on feasts of our Lord, the Blessed Virgin, and for saints who are not martyrs. Red is for the Holy Ghost and for the saints who were martyrs. Black is for funerals and for masses for the dead. Green is used when no special feast is celebrated. Sometimes for special days, vestments of gold or silver cloth may be used. Violet, white, red, black, and green are called liturgical colors.
I always find that interesting. Since it really wasn't touched upon since the tabernacle wasn't a huge focus, but if you do have a tabernacle, very often there'll be a tabernacle veil, and that the veil
Yeah.
covering usually will match the vestments, but there is an
Mhm.
exception, and we actually just had a mass for the dead yesterday, and I remember someone asking me about this, wondering why. So a mass for the
Mhm.
dead, black vestments. What color would the tabernacle veil be? Well, as probably everyone's noticed, it's violet. Sorry, Father. You didn't raise your hand fast enough. Um, and you
Uh,
might think,
I
wow, if
did, but it
that
was in the wrong screen.
there you go. And you might wonder, it's like, oh, do they not have enough money to match the tabernacle veil? Or did you forget?
Did someone
No,
ask you that?
no,
Oh.
but in case you're wondering. But so well, it was early on when I was Sister Catherine, someone brought up that, you know, as I was learning to sew, that maybe I could sew a black tabernacle veil, and I only just recently learned this tidbit as well, because I never paid attention, never thought about it, but you will
Mhm.
never put a black tabernacle veil on. Well, one doesn't
Mhm.
exist. You could make something that looks like it still won't be a tabernacle veil, and the reason being, Father, will you enlighten us?
Oh, this was your story. I was
Oh,
gonna
okay,
wait for you,
okay.
but sure. Well, because our Lord is present in the tabernacle,
And he is
and he is very much alive,
yep, and
truly
black
present,
represents death.
and black represents death. So that's why we use it. That's why we use, violet.
And
And, I'm sorry. You're
I
gonna
just
say
I
who?
just like how neat it is when you can kinda connect those dots,
Mhm.
and this is why I'm really excited about, like, this particular lesson, talk about the externals, the sacristan stuff, the things that you just kinda get involved in, how
Mhm.
important they all are, and appreciation for these things actually adds to the appreciation of the Holy Sacrifice
Mhm.
of the Mass.
And the vestments hold a significance. They the the inspiration for a lot of the vestments comes from the Old Testament, what the high priest and the priests would wear when they would offer sacrifice. If you've seen pictures of them, very similar, especially like the chasuble. The stole is the sign of the office of preaching. This is why a deacon is allowed to wear a stole, and often um, a priest is giving, like, a mission or a sermon outside of mass, he will have on a chasuble. We also have a stole. As Franciscans, if we're preaching, we don't have to wear a stole, but and a chasuble, but we may. But it's the sign of that preaching authority that you're that you have. The maniple, was is probably one of the more practical, um, things. It was that in certain parts of the world, it is especially with the weather being, humid and that or one would sweat, they would have something on the side, to wipe yourself, to wipe the brow, and they would have it with them. Eventually, this evolved to becoming part of um, the vestments, and if I recall, it signifies very much, the tears that one, the wiping away the tears, um, that one, will produce during a sacrifice, during the pains and the sufferings, because even the significance of the stole is you're reminded it's like the yoke of an oxen is coming around your neck as you're taking this upon yourself. The cincture that he wraps around himself, we'll get into that. Um, but there's a significance with them all. Uh, the linen vestments. The amice is a white linen cloth. It is worn by the priests about the neck and over the shoulders, and we have ours that goes over our hood. That's the difference with religious. The alb is a long white vestment, is very wide. The sleeves reach down to the wrists, so it is like very much like the cassock in that way. Um, and the cincture is a long white cord. The priest ties it around his waist. The cincture holds the alb in place. And some places, the tradition is the cincture matches the same color as the vestments, but it does not have to. It can just be a white cincture. And I'll tell you when, first, becoming a priest and having to read the rubrics, and you're like, "Why isn't it telling me to get the cincture?" Because it will say, like, for this mass, like, especially on Palm Sunday, that it begins with you wearing a red cope, and you have the red, stole and red, and you're like, "Well, where's the red, why doesn't it say red cincture?" Because normally, you know, it's not prescribed, you have to, but it's a custom that we will wear it the same color. And you like one that's your size. You don't like one that's too small, and I've
Yeah.
experienced that. I've experienced stoles and cinctures and albs. I mean, I experienced everything way too small for me. I'm a big man, and, yeah, but it's anyway, I could keep mumbling off comments, but I think might be best just to carry on. We'll carry on with what the priest carries. We'll drink to that. I have to make sure I finish my coffee before I have to have mass. Now, as the priest goes to the altar to offer holy mass, he is carrying several objects. Only the outer covering can be seen. The outer covering is called a veil. It is made of the same material and color as the vestment. The priest places on the altar the objects he is carrying. He puts them over the altar stone. He does so gently and carefully. He arranges the veil so that everything looks very nice. He certainly tries. He certainly tries. I mean, eh, yeah, you don't slam the chalice on the altar, but you try to make it look nice, and some chalice veils are more cooperative than others.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Uh,
I have my favorites
yeah,
and my
yeah,
not favorites.
and for me, it's, I can be very Adrian Monk. There's a TV restaurant reference about that. Very Adrian Monk about it and trying to make it perfect, and it's like, I have to say this is as good as I can get it because I will be here for a long time. Now, the burst is a hard square folder. It is on top of what the priest carries. The burse is covered with the same material as the vestments. The priest carries the corporal in the burse. I don't know what I was thinking. In the burse. So that's, you know, it's I used to laugh as a boy being like, "Oh, it's a purse because it holds stuff." But it's kind of a way to help memorize what it is. You can't, what's that called? It's a purse. Purse. Oh, okay. The corporal is a large square of linen. Before Holy Mass begins, the priest opens the corporal and he places on it all he has been carrying. After the consecration, the sacred host consecrating the sacred host, excuse me. The priest places it upon the corporal. The chalice also rests upon it. If a drop of blood of Jesus should spill, it would fall on the corporal. The corporal is a very sacred cloth. No one is allowed to wash it except the priest and or one who is almost ready to be made a priest. That would be a deacon. No one may touch the corporal until the priest has first washed it. Only then may someone else complete the washing and iron it. Yeah. Last week, I did a whole bunch of them. I try to do each time. I have a little my bowl, and I try to cleanse it right away, let it dry, but sometimes you let it pile up and
Oh, yeah, I actually do have a pile I need to bring over for His Excellency to process, and, um, I've over the years, as I gain confidence in ironing, I find even more joy when I do get to iron, and, um, well,
yeah.
for us, we do a large number at a time. We process and we launder, and then I separate it. Well, he separates it for washing, and then once they come out, whatever I'm not gonna iron that day, I'm
Mhm.
gonna put it in their own bag and put them in the freezer wet, 'cause I iron you iron them damp. At least
Mhm.
that's what I do. You don't have to, but that's what the bishop taught me, and it's been easier. Plus, a pressing cloth can be your friend. So, learning how to do the linens has been
Wait,
quite
a what can be your friend? Oh,
a pressing cloth. A pressing cloth. So it's a sheer material. I think maybe I showed it to you, but um you place it on top of the item that you're going to iron, and it just kinda protects it. So if you have something more delicate
like a
that you don't
linen?
like a linen that you don't want to accident, because if you're using when you use starch, 'cause I'm gonna say if, you do use starch, well, you need to use starch for the corporal. The bishop doesn't like any starch on his purificators, although you are allowed a minimal amount. He likes a lot of starch on his corporal, but, the
Mhm.
starch can get messy, it gets sticky, it dirties up the iron, you can ruin things very quickly, and I happened to stumble upon the idea of a pressing cloth, and it saved me. It's
Well, let
saved
me ask you, sister, you've been a sacristan for quite a while, and, what you've read on it, and I don't think there's a rubric for it. I mean, it's just something we do to kinda take it for granted, but do we have to iron the altar cloth? Starch it? I don't think we do, but
Oh, the actual altar cloths?
yes.
I don't think I've read anything that says we have to.
Yeah. 'Cause
Um,
I think
I
we're just so used to doing these things. I mean, just it looks nicer. I think his idea is that it preserves it
Mhm,
longer.
mhm.
But
It
we've had some fun times, with an iron altar cloth, and they don't always settle.
Mhm. It's a challenge, and it really placing them on the altar is really a two-person job. I'm thinking, "Oh, no, I'm gonna change them for Easter." I do
Yeah,
manage on my own,
yeah.
but,
I
we've been dabbling with ideas on how to hold them in place. Originally,
Mhm.
I had sewn some drapery weights, into,
Mhm.
like, the linen, and that kinda helped, but then the bishop actually, um, on the altar, there's some sort of screws and clamps or something,
Yeah,
and that
I've seen
holds it in
those.
place. That's been working really well. Um
That might be a way to go, but I don't really have a problem with them mine settle on there pretty well. Usually, it's I know I'm gonna screw up the name of the triple steps that go up the
oh, there's
Garradine
actually
the Grenadine. The not no, that's a big one.
that's not it.
It's not it, but it begins with a G. I forget the name of it, it's slipping my mind. Um, but it, I kinda hold it into place, And, it was, yeah, I've encountered situations where a person tried to do it themselves and altar cloth just was not working.
I would not attempt to put on the altar cloth in Wabaka by myself.
I, uh
Most
I've
Mostly because 'cause
done
I'm
it,
not used to it.
and I felt so bad for the person, so bad because I left because I had to run errands. This was last year, Holy Saturday. I left, ran errands, came back, and the altar cloth was on there. It was just not working. So I was like, "Okay, let's let's fix it."
Yeah. Yeah,
And, we did, and it looked fine. Father Joseph even said, "How do you get your altar cloths to settle so well?" "Well, trial and error and a whole lot of prayer, Father," you know?
exactly.
Um,
Well, Father, I was gonna add, if you're interested in getting a pressing cloth, if you go into Hobby Lobby, the sewing section, they should have them
okay,
available. I
alright,
find it very helpful. I have 3 of them,
yeah.
because I set up the
I
tables and
enjoy ironing
iron.
myself. I do. I find I did it in the seminary, and when I learned, it was like that was like, "Okay, this day, like, every other week, alright, this is my ironing day. This is what I did after studying. I would iron."
It's very relaxing, but plus it also puts into perspective of also what's going on there
Mhm,
during mass, especially the corporal.
mhm.
And the corporal has to be folded a specific way, and it has to be
Yes,
unfolded a specific way,
yes.
and why it was very clear in the explanation there, because our Lord rests there in the
Mhm.
whole in the whole Eucharist,
And and that's one of the reasons why you wanna starch it, because the priest during mass, after he, breaks the host, after he receives the host, actually, he scrapes the paten on the corporal, and if it's starched, it's easier to get any of the particles that may have fallen,
Mhm,
and there can be there can be, um, and also, uh, yeah, it's more efficient.
mhm.
I always find interesting, I'll just add this little thing in mass. If you if a priest is consecrating, a ciborium, which I'm sure we'll get into that, uh, which holds the extra host for the people, that ciborium must be on the corporal when he consecrates. If you go into matters liturgical, you go into, moral theology, because it does explain it, because there could be moral questions like, did a priest make a mistake? How, culpable is he? And if you are wondering, it's like, okay, did was this consecrated? If it's on the corporal and you have the intention of consecrating it, even if it's the virtual intention that or habitual intention, that's what you do, it's there.
Mhm,
You don't have to look at the ciborium. Ideally, you uncover it, but if it's on the corporal, it's consecrated. But you want to ideally, you wanna place it in more to the center and perform it is and I like, when you're looking, when you look over to the ciborium as you take a moment as you're about to say the words over the host, because you're just reminded of you're reminded of God's omnipresence and our Lord, how He's present in every host, fully and completely. It's just beautiful,
and
dogma we have.
how you're reminded of the beautiful gift that He's given us,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I mean, I'm sure it's happened to us a few times here, and I don't remember it happening growing up, but sometimes you run a little short on the ciborium, and you have to maybe break a few hosts in half.
Mhm.
Um, and just for our listeners who don't realize, when that happens, you're still receiving just as much of Jesus as if you would receiving the whole one. So,
Yes, you are. You are.
when I had the mouth ulcers a few years ago, his actually just gave me a particle
Mhm.
because I was having a hard time. I mean, I probably could
Yeah.
have just not have gone, um, but I still received just as much of Jesus if I had received the whole one. So,
Mhm.
Our faith is so
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is. And I'm gonna add one more kind of the, sacristan, uh, secrets, I suppose, not secrets of the sacristy, I guess you wanna call it. Um, and this was something I didn't realize until you told me.
Mm,
And, when you when a priest finishes a ciborium, when he empties it, and he must purify the ciborium during mass, and the server comes and pours the wine and the water into the ciborium, which he u uses to loosen up any particles. Of course, before he does that, he clears out any big pieces, and then he pours into the chalice and receives it as normal, and dries it with the corporal.
purificator,
Oh,
you mean?
the purificator, excuse me. Ah, he dries it with the purificator. That's what I meant to say,
Mhm.
'cause it purifies. When you do that, no matter what day it is, you must replace the purificator.
For the next mass.
Did not realize that.
Yeah, I
Something you just didn't really think about. I don't remember. Maybe I read it somewhere,
yeah,
and
it sometimes just kind of you lose maybe just learn, but then gotta practice for whatever reason, and
yeah,
I'll admit that I'm probably, like, super picky about things,
I
and I probably iron more, I don't know, um
I remember what you you said it to me. You're like, and I know you know this, Father. I'm like, no, no, I didn't. I gotta admit, I have to admit that,
Mhm.
because it's learning.
Well,
That's
and
how
to
you
be fair, I was more recently studying Sacristan things than you have,
yeah,
so
cool.
anyway.
Interesting. Alright, let me continue. We're almost finished with this
Mhm.
lesson. The chalice and paten are under the veil. The paten is a small gold-like plate. On it is the large host. This is the host which is to be consecrated during Holy Mass. The chalice is empty. It is the sacred vessel in which the wine will be consecrated. The chalice and paten are always made of gold or silver with the inside of the cup gilded. This is the way the objects are placed under the veil at the beginning of Mass. The chalice stands on the altar. The linen cloth called the purificator is placed across the cup of the chalice. This cloth is folded 3 times lengthwise. It hangs down on each side. The purificator is used to clean inside the chalice. Like the corporal, the purificator is a very sacred cloth. It also is washed first by the priest. On the purificator rests the paten. The host is on the paten. The paten is covered with a square piece of starched linen. This cover is called the pall. Pall. During Holy Mass, the priest uses the pall to cover the chalice. And that's a very practical uh, object because you do not want particles or bugs or anything falling into the chalice, especially after the consecration.
It's
It
amazing
can
what
happen.
it can happen.
It can
But
happen.
it
I've had a bug just as I was about to receive, flew right in. It's like, well, what does a priest do?
what does a priest do?
I'm getting my protein.
There
I
you go.
drank it. Um,
Uh, it's just I mean, it wasn't anything in a chalice, but just like a weird circumstance. I remember a few years ago with the crew that held the wine, some mold started to grow inside. And what it blows my mind though, because I wash those frequently, at least once a month. So I was like, "How did this happen?" And the bitch was like, "Well, why don't you put some bleach into it?" I was like, "Well, is that gonna be okay after I wash it? I don't wanna poison you." Um, it's
yeah,
very
yeah, you're not really gonna poison someone unless you give them a lot of bleach.
fair enough. I'm not gonna ask how you know. It's science. Science,
Wow.
right? It's chemistry. Uh, so it's I was just really looking forward to this topic because I think, "Well, is this really the most exciting part of the mass to you?" I was like, "Well, no, but this adds to it," and, um,
It's just
it's just
this is kind of, no, I don't wanna the way I put it, it's almost like it's like the I can't think of a better way of putting it. It's almost like the nerd stuff, you know, the stuff that you really, really getting into the rubrics, which remember, the rubrics tells the priest what to do during mass, and also tells the people what they're supposed to do during mass
oh,
at very specific times, and it is so fascinating reading this stuff, and then you're always given a reason why you do it, and, in the book, Explanation of Holy Mass, Abba Guéranger gives the spiritual, connection, uh, to why certain things are done in a certain place, or why, the water is blessed here, or why only a drop is put here. What is the spiritual significance we can gather from that? And these are, just
wonderful
things that
details.
help stir our devotion, help us raise ourselves to God during the mass, which is the whole point of mass.
And I think I mean, we're probably gonna nerd out about a lot of stuff as we
Yes,
get
we are.
and it's just the wonderful about how God is in the details.
Mhm.
God's in the details,
Yep,
and
I like that.
discovering discovering the little bits of him and the
Mhm.
big bits of him. Of course, he's God, he's, you know, but it's just yes, I hope people are gonna, soak in our enthusiasm, and then maybe there will be a whole mass appreciation of the mass.
Yeah,
Um, very exciting. Very exciting.
yeah, and encourage people in your parish and say, "Well, can I what could I help? You know, can I assist?" And, yeah, there's a lot of things that a person could do to help, so. Oh, speaking of help, I guess I have to get help to get over there. I have mass shortly. Get to say mass, this is what we're talking about,
Yep. Yep.
and, yeah, boy, sister, any final thoughts, pearls of wisdom? I it
I mean, I feel like we could have done this in, like, 2 separate episodes, I mean, because when you bring up rubrics, you bring up matters liturgical, I mean, you really I mean, I understand, like, the laity aren't really, like, meant to look too deep into how things are set up, but, like, preparing for Holy Week, preparing for Palm Sunday even, which is part of Holy Week, but just all
Mhm,
the things that are necessary for all of this, and how I'm glad that I mean, somebody's like, "Oh, this is a lot of work, this is a lot of time, it's gonna take too long." But this is giving honor and glory to God. I mean, we should
mhm,
be having the mindset for to do our best. And I guess what I will add really quickly as we talk about what the vestments, their significance, and how we need to take really great care about their presentation, the laity also needs to reflect on how they present themselves at the holy sacrifice of the mass. You know, there's different expectations of dress required. You know, you really want to put on your best as if you were going to meet some high ranking official, if you will, or you were
mhm,
gonna go to a wedding. I mean, how many people pull out all the stops when they attend a wedding, even for their little children? And I understand getting children ready for mass and morning can be rough, especially if you're a single parent as a Catholic anyway. But striving to figure out a system that will work. And as the children get older, putting the responsibility on them. But, you know, the church has some guidelines. You know, I think if
mhm.
you're if you're unsure, maybe that's not what you should wear. I mean, you definitely don't wanna look like you just rolled out of bed. Whereas it's like you can get a nice long skirt that's comfy, but if it looks like jammies, try to find something a little bit more, um, Doesn't
Mhm.
have to be fancy. I mean,
Appropriate.
and different areas of our own country have different culture vibes, there's a Midwest style,
Standards.
yeah, there's a Southern style, there's people that, the country Catholics are gonna dress differently than those who live in the
The
upper
city.
states, yeah. So, and so I just say, just ask yourself, "Is this really the best I can offer when I go to mass?" And maybe find and build, I'm not saying go buy an expensive wardrobe, or and also I'm just add this, who cares if you wear the same outfit every Sunday? Let's say you have your winter Sunday outfit and you have your spring, summer, maybe you have 4 outfits for the seasonal.
I wear the same thing.
I wear the same thing all the time. But, if you're worried about, like, "Well, I can't wear the same thing 2 Sundays in a row, what will people think?" I would say most people aren't even paying attention to what you're wearing, and if they are keeping track, that's a them problem. Don't waste your energy on it. Do not waste your energy on it. It's not worth it. But if you also do feel compelled that you would love to wear more dressy things and have more outfits for church, nothing wrong with that. But if it is something that you can't manage or you don't want to,
I
just go with one seasonal
I only had 1
a season
suit,
that was what I was thinking too, like, ho
so
men don't have a different suit every
I would
week.
change my tie for the occasion.
There
My
you
tie
go.
and my shirt.
There you go. So
So,
women, don't stress about it.
yeah.
Again, you know, as long as it's clean, who cares? Who cares? So
I
you heard
guess
it here, folks.
with that, I'll just end it with, God and his minister dress up for the occasion, shouldn't you? Deo gratias.
Deo gratias.